And the fear always shows up when you approach your truth, right? It's just right there. Every time we're being asked to bring our truest soul assignment into the work, I count that fear is going to be right here. Now I'm just saying, hey, fear, thank you so much for showing up. You are showing me that I'm moving in the right direction, right? And I call it the light. But the other side of fear is courage. The bigger the fear, the bigger the courage that is available. So I work with universal laws, right? So I say, okay, the law of polarity. Fear is here, courage is also here. So I shift my mind to courage and I focus on courage until courage begins to grow and fear disappears. That's Atlantean principles.
Welcome to the Sacred Planet podcast. I am your host, Jocelyn Starfeather. We are living at the end of a massive 26,000 year cycle. This is a cycle that can be defined not astrologically, but astronomically by the movement of the North Star in the sky. Every 26,000 years, we come back to the original North Star. The times that we are living in now are when one of these 26,000 year cycles is ending and a new one is beginning. And so this is why this time when we are alive right now has been foretold in the ancient prophecies of many indigenous and ancient peoples all around the world, from almost every continent. This is why the world feels so chaotic, so uncertain, and so unstable right now, because we are truly shifting from one age, one massive 26,000 year age, into a new one. This is also why we are seeing so many changes in our own lives, so many changes in the world. It's because the systems and structures, the patterns and beliefs that we have been carrying for an extremely long time are collapsing. They are breaking down. And this is terrifying and also very exciting, because those of us who are alive at this time, we get to choose what we will build next. We get to choose who we want to become in this new era. So it's really important to know during these times that these are actually not only ending times. This is not meant to be an apocalypse. This is actually meant to be the closing of a door to the old ways of being and the opening of a door to the new ways, to the radical new world that we are here to build together. We are here at this time, at this momentous time, to choose what will come next. And so let us dream into a world that our children and grandchildren and the next 7 generations will be delighted to inherit from us. And let's begin creating it one by one from within ourselves. That is where all change must begin, is from within every individual, and then it is rippled out to the world in miraculous and beautiful ways. Here in the Sacred Planet podcast, we will be talking about spiritual awakening. We will be talking about the massive changes that are happening in our world, and we will be talking most importantly about how you can support yourself, how you can feel most healed and healthy and whole and inspired and uplifted and ready to build this new world together, ready to choose who you wish to become next as all of the old falls away and we are left with a blank slate to create anything that we wish, anything that we dream into the future. Welcome to the Sacred Planet podcast. I can't wait to share the incredible speakers and topics that we'll be sharing here on the podcast, and I hope that it will be a tremendous inspiration to you in your own life. I am your host of the podcast. My name is Jocelyn Starfeather. I am the founder of Sacred Planet. Sacred Planet is a global community of people who are awakening to their true power and magic within and co-creating together and uplifting and inspiring one another as we build this radical new world together. I can't wait to share more with you. I'll see you soon in our next podcast episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sacred Planet podcast. I am delighted to be here with you all today, and I am so excited to welcome Katerina Satori to the podcast. Welcome, Katerina. Thank you so much for being here today.
What a joy to be a part of this incredible vision that you're weaving in the world, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is a joy to have you here with us, and I just can't wait to see where the conversation will lead today.
Me too.
So I'll go ahead and introduce you to everybody. Katerina Satori's ultimate devotion is to evolutionary consciousness. Her work is focused on guiding visionary leaders to stand fully in this devotion too, through transcending stuck attachments, embodying their genius, and ascending into ecstatic co-creation with life. I just love that. I feel that in every cell. After moving to the USA at age 23 with $3 in her pocket, Katerina worked toward the spiritual initiation that would forever shape her devotion and anchor her mission. Katerina is a transdimensional seer, a wisdom channel, a mystical mentor, and forever student of the path of ecstasy. You can find her courses ranging from business brilliance to mystical mastery at katerinasatori.com. And so, Katerina, I know today we'll be discussing Atlantean wisdom and life mastery codes. So could you begin by telling us about your connection to the Atlantean lifetimes?
A great journey of remembrance. Diving into the secrets of the universe has always been a deep passion of mine. Ever since as a child, I carried that knowing that this was a very important lifetime. And beyond that, I came to finish something that I've started. And that knowing guided me to leave my home country and to go to a land where I could open up my potential. Russia did not feel like it would ever catch up at that time. So by following my heart and trusting spirit, these pathways of destiny have been opening and opening and opening. And I remember when I came to US, and I started going through a rapid remembering, I was very intentional of requesting the information to be revealed to me. I remember I would find these books that would say, you can ask for your DNA to be awakened. I'm like, yes, I can. I ask for my DNA to be fully awakened. So there was this curiosity, yearning, and deep willingness to just dive into the mystery. So I was activating my pineal gland, my DNA. I was drawn to all topics of starseeds. When the first time I heard about Octarians, I said, these are my beings, Octarians, Pleiadians. So that's how it started. And then I start meeting my family of light, the members of the family of light. They all had something in common. They all felt we're not from this planet. We are aliens in this human form, starseeds. And it was this deep sense of camaraderie and kinship. And I remember when I met one of my soul sisters who was really connected to Egyptian teachings. And she simply would name Thoth, Isis, Sekhmet, and I would start feeling in my entire body these waves of activation simply from hearing a word. And I would say, I know this, I know this, I know this. How can I dive deeper? So I dove into Egyptian studies. And I remember sitting in my little cottage when I used to live in Laguna Beach. And I said, I choose to connect with Thoth, the Atlantean. Jocelyn, in a matter of 10 minutes, this sleepiness came over me. And I said to myself, oh, I'm being invited to go inside. I was knocked out, went into a nap, and I had this incredible, deep astral experience where Thoth showed himself to me. And he took this very unusual form. He's also known for his sense of humor. And I will share more about who Thoth is to offer a bigger context, but this story is just so fun. He took this really interesting form because I was taken to the bottom of the ocean in my dream experience, and this massive ancient whale was swimming around me, activating me, and I knew this was Thoth. It was a very unique form that he took. But after that, it was just boom, 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 accessing these memories and accessing these timelines and portals. And I started apprenticing with him. I started communicating with him on a daily basis, writing down the downloads, studying everything I could find on Thoth. And that led me, of course, to Atlantean teachings. And what I love sharing with people about Thoth, Thoth was the architect of Atlantis. And Thoth and I share deep love of wisdom. He was a teacher of wisdom for humanity. And because he activated his ability to regenerate his physical body, he was able to live hundreds and even thousands years old. He became he became a leading mentor for Atlantean civilization. And this is so inspiring to know that in the golden age of Atlantis, we had a direct communication with these divine entities, the golden ones, the shining ones, the divine beings who were teaching humanity how to access interdimensional portals, how to activate the tree of life within. And ultimately, Jocelyn, Thoth was the original inventor of this whole vision of creating heaven on earth. Not only he was the builder of the pyramids that he learned from Syrians and from Acterians, but he carried this vision of creating a society and a civilization that we can truly be divine co-creators and bring the heaven to earth. So I'll pause here because I know it could be like a lot.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much for all of this. That is incredible. Thoth showing up as the whale. That's really so beautiful. I had such a vivid image of that as you were sharing it. That's, just so powerful. I want to talk more about Thoth and the Atlantean, lifetimes, but also I want to go back to something that you said that I think is really important, and then we'll go forward. Which is this feeling of I am not fully human, right? Or I have been so many other beings before. I don't feel like I belong here, right? That knowing that one is a starseed, or that, I'm not really from here. I think that's so important to just voice and just highlight that, because I feel so many people are feeling that at this time, or going through that in different ways, different life experiences. And I just want to, bring that to mind and offer comfort to those who might be feeling that, and that you're not alone. There are many of us, right? So thank you for saying that. Is there anything more you want to say about that part of the experience, or to our audience members who may be really feeling that?
Yeah, I feel it's such a beautiful realization when you realize you connected on a level of DNA to these star teachers. And if you feel that, it's because you have a unique part in the collective recalibration that we are all, uniting towards. And you carry these strands, these galactic strands that are specific for your soul task. And, channeling or galactic communication may be completely correct for you, right? So keep opening yourself up. There is just so many resources, and connect with your family of light, because then you will have a deep nourishment from being understood for your essence. Right? Not feeling like, oh my God, I'm a weird galactic, still in my galactic closet, right? But you start saying like, this is a part of my lineage. I am a noble galactic being who chose this human experience because my soul has reached a particular evolution point that life experience on Earth is stimulating and growth igniting for me. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Thank you for those words. I think that's just so important for our times right now.
Right? Yeah, Jocelyn. And then, when something else I would like to add, because it was a progressive remembrance. The wisdom of our galactic mentors is that they monitor the readiness of our consciousness. They're not interested in frying our nervous system, right? For me, the big revelation happened when I was working with one of the master plan teachers that I work for the last 16 years. I work with ayahuasca. And on one of the journeys, I had an intention. I wasn't attached to receiving it. It was just a very light intention. I said, Galactic Guides, if my consciousness is ready, would you show me my earliest lifetimes on this planet? And wow, Jocelyn, they took me to the most beautiful and powerful vision. Actually, the first one was Lemuria. My first incarnation was in Lemuria, and they showed me connection between Lemuria and Atlantis. They showed me a place of exquisite beauty that I've always remembered, Lemuria. And they said Lemurians were seeded by Pleiadian star mothers. Lemurians held this original vision of us living in unity with Gaia, living in direct communication with elements, with these divine beings. We were original shamans, right? Original medicine people, harmony and beauty and the sacred feminine. And then the Atlantean civilization were imagined and envisioned from the Lemurian star mothers and the Pleiadians, right? And the Sirians and Arcturians. So that's the beautiful connection. So those two lifetimes, or many lifetimes, memories came online. And it was so powerful. They gave me a code. They often speak to me in codes, simple phrases to anchor in my consciousness and to rewire the blueprint or reactivate the blueprint. And the code was Lemurian soul, Atlantean mind, Lemurian soul, Atlantean mind. And they just chanted it like dozens and dozens of times. And I came back after that ceremony and I actually had something engraved. I engraved that phrase on the metal, because I know the pull of the Maya. And the pull, we have these peak mystical experiences, but in order for us to function on the 3D plane, they sort of dissolve into the memory. So whenever I come back from a visionary initiatory experience, I engrave, I write down, I surround myself with symbols like an ankh. So my consciousness is connected to that memory circuit that begins to continue this deeper activation of my life.
Beautiful. Yes. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the connection between Atlantis and Egypt.
Yes.
And this is just so fascinating. And so many people are feeling called to go to Egypt or study Egypt in some way. And the reason we're being pulled to that is probably much more ancient than we would think, right, at first glance.
Yes. The way that I've been shown that the origin of all mystery schools was Atlantis. So the Atlantis was the birth of that vision that is called the path of initiation. How do we activate the streams of wisdom within? And when Atlantis was going through its disintegration at the very, very last times of it, it was a time for the completion of that civilization. Everything has a beginning and everything has a completion. So to take the flame of the Atlantis was the task of the Thoth as the key priest and the king of Atlantis. And he transferred it to the land of Kem that became the ancient Egypt. And we see the most accelerated evolution of consciousness in Egypt because they were directly taught by the Atlanteans, by Thoth, and he became their mentor, direct mentor. He was training hundreds of initiates in ancient Egypt to preserve those original teachings. And this is why Egypt has reached such incredible heights. The birth of numerology, astrology, the psychology, all of that was due to the Atlantean teachings. So I was always interested to go to I'm like, how can I go to the very, very root? And why the Atlantean civilization was so inspiring to me and is so inspiring to me. The principles of that civilization was advancement of consciousness for the benefit of all. They were not interested in power for the sake of power. Those who were rulers of Atlantis were required to achieve the highest level of soul mastery, the highest level of integration of harmony and wisdom. So the higher the position of rulership, the higher the responsibility that would rise, they would be taking through the most intense initiations to continue to purify their consciousness. So they were representatives of the most benevolent energies of the universe. And I feel like, when we talk about the fall of Atlantis at the very end, it was misuse of that responsibility, misuse of that power. The power got twisted, right? So we are seeing this recurring theme that true power is integration of love, wisdom, and power. When we lose our balance in one of those, we lose our true centeredness, our true harmony.
Yes, absolutely. And so these are important messages for our times right now, clearly. So what is the wisdom that we can pull forward? What are the teachings from Atlantis that we really deeply need to know today?
The big message that I feel deeply called to share is that we can remember that we can consciously co-create our reality. That the deeper the chaos and the distraction is in the field, the opposite of that is that the membrane is so thin and the communication with galactic guides is so available. What is required from us is to open the channels of wisdom within. Learn to harness our life force again. Learn to breathe correctly. Learn to open our Merkaba, our vehicle of light. Learn to take command of our mind. Learn to focus again. Learn to access our higher mind. That is a key to our in-the-moment guidance, in-the-moment truth, right? And then, of course, learn to master our frequency. Without that, we will be tossed aside by the collective fears or collective anxieties. And I feel also deep connection with the Syrians. They teach us to be present in the moment. Why? Because when we are in the present in the moment, we're in the presence of divinity. So mastery of the mind, it starts there, mastering our thoughts, learning to really track our thoughts. Our thoughts create. Simple truth. But if we don't master fundamentals, we can't progress forward. Next, master the law of vibration, knowing that we can command our vibration, right? We can shift from fear to courage, from panic to stillness, from distraction to creation, right? And then the next one is to master fear. Thoth, in his teachings of Emerald Tablets, always says that the biggest bondage for human beings is the bondage of fear. He gives very precise instructions how to create a circle of protection. Where do we get these teachings, right? Create a circle of protection around you, all the way from Atlantis, and literally start commanding fear to leave your personal space. Whenever I go through initiation, Jocelyn, I just went through another layer in June. It was so powerful. What I do, I use the power of spoken word to command my consciousness. I will take an ankh. This is one of my power objects. And I will walk around my house. I will create a circle of protection and I'll begin invoking activation of my consciousness. And I will say, I activate my initiate level of consciousness right now. I activate my courage. I activate my vision. I activate my truth. So I invoke and I command activation of these truer abilities, right? And then you immediately feel the effect, right? This is how powerful we are. And so I inspire people to work with sound, work with vibration, really begin to take command of the mind, because we live in a one giant mental universe, right? So taking command of the mind begins with, you know what? All these thoughts that are running around my head like a stray animals, I can begin to command them. I can say, cancel clear, you have no place here, right? I can say, I activate my focus. Who am I? I remember who I am. I activate my DNA. So to me, this is a journey of inner mastery. And also, this is a journey of returning to our original joy. If we remember our true lineage, if we remember there was a civilization that existed for about 1 million years, Atlantis. We have reached such incredible peaks of consciousness. Yes, then we went through a fall to the third destiny. But everything has its cycle. Right now, we live in exciting times. We can together reconnect to a different kind of plane of existence and consciousness. And we can remember that there is this deeper intelligence that is running in our body. We can connect to that, and we can celebrate every step forward that we make in activating our divine blueprint within.
Wow. Yes. I feel all my my entire body activated by what you're sharing here, and the potential of it, right? We have so much more power, so much more potential within us than what we have been told and what we have been taught in this modern world. And what you're speaking of is this deep, deep ancient remembrance of it. And these mastery teachings are so powerful, because these are the things that are hardest for us as humans, right? Mastery of the mind, mastery of fear. These are the things that are, what create our greatest suffering. And yet we have the power, as you're saying, to master them, to be in the driver's seat, in the, to have leadership, in our lives, and to choose. So it sounds like what the ancient pharaohs and before them, the Atlantean, leaders were initiated into were probably these same mastery teachings, right? That they had to go through deep initiations, and that's what we're being called to do now. Yes, more of us, not only those who are in that one main leadership role, but it's like all of us now who are, answering that call to awaken and answering that call to raise our consciousness, are called into these initiatory spaces and to gain this mastery. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. On a more holographic level, this incarnation is a mystery school. Everything can be utilized to awaken our consciousness. I see the world holographically, and that is a result of coming into a deeper state of coherence. One of the trainings in Atlantean temples was activating of pineal gland, which would result in our left and right hemispheres working together, seeing reality holographically. So if we truly believe that, it's such an empowering realization that every time we create a shift on the level of consciousness, we impact entire cosmos holographically. And if we're here to serve that higher truth and higher world, that entire cosmos will be of service to us. That then we can let go of that, that conditioned helplessness. I am alone. Does what I do really matters, right? And it can be a deep melancholy for the state of the world. This is where we get to return to this holographic realization that every time when we attune our vibration from victimhood, helplessness to creator consciousness, we holographically elevate the vibration of entire planet. And what also Pleiadians have been communicating with me, which is so empowering, they said, our planet Earth, our Gaia, is a fifth dimensional planet. That's our natural state. It has been surrounded by third dimensional collective mind field that we are transforming, right? This collective set of agreements. And the more and more beings begin to remember the natural fifth dimensional state of oneness, holographic reality, we begin to return to our joy, and we begin to see initiation not as something to be terrified, right? Maybe the first couple of times you go through them and you don't know what's happening, it can be really disorienting. But initiation comes to you when you're ready to connect to a new level of power, a new level of wisdom. Again, power from the place of embodiment, new level of harmony, new level of integration. And initiation always asks you to leave something behind that is you outgrew, that maybe was useful to you, right? The way that you were living. And you're being asked to trust the gap. You're being asked to trust the void. But every time I'm in initiation, Jocelyn, what I'm tracking, the deeper the initiation, the more support that shows up. A wise guide, a beloved family of light companion. Somebody will offer me a gift of a healing. Somebody will invite me and say, you know what, I'm running a sound healing. I was told to invite you as my guest. This invisible support comes because when you're in the initiation process, deep alchemy, let's just say, sometimes it can feel vulnerable. You're being asked to be still and to surrender to the process. What I'm seeing every single time, the invisible hands begin to support you and nourish you. Because initiation is accelerated mutation of your DNA. Something new is being opening, a new level of your awareness. And then the result of that is new level of peacefulness, a new level of trust in the process of light, new level of coherence, and a new level of vibration, right? Every time we go through initiation, we activate our true essence. And that is what magnetic about us, our essence, right? It's not effort. Higher levels of integration, higher levels of harmony, less effort, more essence, less doing, more flowing, less preparing, more channeling, right? What an exciting curriculum. The more we give that a voice, the more you and I and other initiates give a voice to these topics, the more we share with others, there is actually a geometry, there is a blueprint, there is a path. And, the more galactic I go, Jocelyn, the more sometimes I hear those voice, oh my God, am I totally losing it? That voice shows up on every level. I'm like, no, I am tapping into my true essence. This is how it feels to be a liberating galactic star being in a human body.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, and there's something that you're speaking of here that you in your life have modeled so beautifully, which is daring to take the risk, right? Daring to take the leap or say yes to this bigger journey that's wanting to unfold. And you started that very young, leaving home and coming across the world to the US, right? So I think that's something that's so important to keep in mind for all of us, that we may feel fear as we're coming into these initiations, or as we know we're about to make a big up level or take a big leap in some way. But what you're saying about the support coming in, and what I was feeling too, as you were saying, that is so much light comes in, right? No matter how far down we feel in the dark night of the soul or an initiation or whatever it might be, there's so much light there, even more light, to balance it out. But really, again, just kind of saying this to everybody out there, that we can trust our support systems. We can trust this consciousness rising process that's happening on the earth, and we can take those leaps, right? We can rise beyond the fear. We can get out of our comfort zones, and we're held safe. And we can really trust that. And I just think you've modeled that so beautifully in your life and continue to do so.
Oh, thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you so much. Yeah, my training began really early. And that's what I noticed too with Starseeds, right? I'm on the level of the soul, I chose such dense karmic bloodline with my family, growing up in Soviet Union in the most turbulent time that there was collapse of the government and civil unrest and huge collapse of economy, right? I bow down to my mother. My mother is such a warrior. What she went through just to be able to provide food and shelter to my sister and I love reminding her. I was like, Mom, you went through some really difficult time and you have such a warrior spirit. Whatever mistakes you think you've made raising us, it all balanced out. Don't feel guilt because you were doing really the best you could. In the worst time of the country, you were able to keep going. So it prepared me to walk the path of leadership that I walk right now. And the last thing that I want is for anybody who hears my story to think that I'm a superhuman who doesn't feel any fear. I feel fear just like everybody else, but I stop taking it as an opportunity to stop. I see it as a signal that I'm approaching my true life assignment. And the fear always shows up when you approach your truth, right? It's just right there. Every time we're being asked to bring our truest soul assignment into the work, I count that fear is going to be right here. Now I'm just saying, hey, fear, thank you so much for showing up. You are showing me that I'm moving in the right direction, right? And I call on the light. But the other side of fear is courage. The bigger the fear, the bigger the courage that is available. So I work with universal laws, right? So I say, okay, the law of polarity, fear is here, courage is also here. So I shift my mind to courage and I focus on courage until courage begins to grow and fear disappears. That's Atlantean principles.
Yes, I love it. There's something else that I want to ask you about, and I'll just mention to everybody that I attended your retreat in Peru in April 2023, and wow, what a powerful, incredible, life-changing experience that was. And I'm so curious about your understanding of the connection between Atlantis and Peru and the cultures that were there in the Americas. What are your thoughts and insights about that?
Oh, Jocelyn, thank you so much for giving me an opening to speak about that. From the moment I came to Peru, it was a remembrance. It was just like, yes, hello, we're back. I feel deep Atlantean codes there, again, holographically. If we go beyond the fourth dimension, we access Akashic field of memory that is everywhere. So Atlantean energy is super strong there. When it was an Atlantean colony, and we can see the facts of the structures, megalithic structures. Even the Machu Picchu was built on the ancient site that existed from the Atlantis. So Machu Picchu is known as a cosmic altar. It was all the people from their local tribes would travel because this was a cosmic altar for cosmic initiations. And I see the connection between the Egypt and Mayan and Atlantis. They all had these structures that used to be utilized in Atlantean times to harness free energy. So the pyramids were built and put everywhere, all over the planet, to harness free energy. That's why the civilizations were so advanced. That's why in Atlantis, there was no system of money. They didn't need it, right? There was a system of everybody knew their task and their contribution to society. People were encouraged to find their true work. Everybody knew they needed to choose a work that was an expression of their heart. The big teaching was find the work that you love and commit to it until you become a master of it, right? So when we travel to Peru, this is the people of the heart. Peru is the heart chakra of the universe and of the planet Earth. So when we come to Peru, we feel that heart vibration. We feel what we lost in the West. We are the intellect of the intellect of the planet Earth, but we got lost the heart. So that's why when we go to Peru, we reconnect with that vibration of a heart-centered living that honors community, that honors the feminine, that honors the earth, and we are altered through being there, right? And there is so much prana, there's so much sacred energy at those sites that what I've noticed, Jocelyn, returning there, it hugely accelerates my consciousness. And I didn't have the language to describe what I felt, but now I received it. When we go to places like Machu Picchu, when we do the Inca Trail, where there is no waves from technology, there is just pure prana, it accelerates our consciousness. It boosts our vitality. We had a spontaneous physical healing during this last retreat. One of the members, I am in awe what happens, and it's because of the sacred site and the sacred energy that is preserved there.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
Right? Yes.
Amazing. Yes.
Mm.
And I know we have stories in so many different ancient cultures of in Egypt, it was the followers of Horus, which was Thoth, and then 6 others. It was a total of 7 people. And we have in many different cultures, right, the 7 sages, or we have Quetzalcoatl, who is, believed to be the same as Thoth. And, in every culture, we see these stories of the founders of that culture that came from this mysterious previous civilization, right? So we have this in our history, we have this in our DNA. And there's just so much more to uncover, I feel, so much more to explore about all of this incredible history that is not in the history books, but it's very real that you're speaking of today.
The ancient architects and these divine mentors. And I love that we have, we have these pathways that we can connect with them to receive that guidance. And the only requirement is purity of heart and accessing this sacred information, not for the benefit of self alone, but for the benefit of the all. One of the teachings of Thoth that I deeply resonate is that when you are given spiritual knowledge, there is responsibility to share it. So all of us light workers who are rising right now in our expression, we're being guided by something really true and something truly authentic, because we know that it's not for us alone to have that information within. We can really begin to share in our own unique way to empower others to unlock these divine blueprints and to open up their star DNA, to open up their channeling abilities. And the more we speak about it, the more we normalize it, the more we accelerate the database of the universe. Universe is one giant mind, right? So we're constantly expanding, we're constantly transforming, we're constantly sharing. And it's so beautiful. That's what always encourages me, Jocelyn. It's like there is a responsibility. Being a keeper of sacred wisdom, we can really trust that we are guided in the most divine way to share. There's so many opportunities. I am an Arcturian starseed. I love technology. I've always been speaking about the power of technology. Even when I lose balance with it, sometimes, I get overstimulated by technology and I'm like, I am done with it. I'm going to take 5 days, no screens, right? Mm-hmm. But deep inside, I see the huge possibilities of technology. And I've been speaking about a lot how when we learn to use that tool in service of our higher calling, we can tap into these incredible possibilities and potentials to really advance our spiritual mission, our planetary mission. And we can share this message into each other networks like we're doing right now to empower more people.
Yes, so beautiful. And we are the highest technology, right? It's so interesting because this technology, like, talking on Zoom from across, opposite sides of the country, this is something we actually can do, just with our consciousness, but we're remembering how. So we have these tools to help us remember in the meantime, right?
I'm so glad that you named that. Yes, the one key teaching from the Atlantean wisdom, we are the temple. So what I love about Egypt, when I went there, after studying deeply and preparing for my trip there, is every temple was a blueprint of consciousness, right? A temple was a symbol. This is what's possible to activate within. So by going through the temple, you went through a spontaneous activation of consciousness, because ultimately we are the temple. That is the deepest teaching. And when we connect to that, we connect to this incredible sense of inner dignity and inner trust and inner guidance, right? And this is really powerful.
Yes. This is so important. I'm so glad we're getting to that point. And thank you for sharing that wisdom. Yes. Well, thank you for all that you have shared here. This has been such an amazing conversation. So wonderful to speak with you about all of this. And I would love to hear, where can people find you online? And do you have any upcoming projects, anything that you want to let people know about? We would love to hear.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, so I am easily discoverable. If you just Google my name, Katerina Satori, I am on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even TikTok. Been dropping some galactic wisdom on TikTok, planting my TikTok seeds. And of course, my website, katerinasatori.com. I am bringing actually 2 retreats in Peru next year, one in April and one in September. This is such a sacred opportunity. So if you desire to connect to this Atlantean wisdom stream, that would be a great opportunity. We have 2 retreats. Reach out to me. And I will be bringing more and more Atlantean teachings. So if you connect with me, you will see what's coming. But the retreats next year, and then of course different mystery teachings from Atlantean perspective.
Amazing. Yes. And to be able to go and soak up the wisdom of Peru with Katerina is quite an incredible and life-changing experience. So
we work with Vachuba.
Yes.
The heart opener. Thank you, Jocelyn. It was so wonderful, right? It's so nourishing. It just truly, the vision is, this retreat that I cultivate, the theme is to nourish those who always nourish others. So I provide a lot of spaciousness for you to be and to hear your voice and to connect with the mountains, connect to galactic guides. So after that experience, you come back with deep inner fuel and expansion of vision.
So amazing. And you have a wonderful free gift for us too today. So could you tell us a little bit more about that too? A 3-part energy clearing course.
Yeah, well, I love helping people on the level of frequency. I'm a frequency alchemist. And it's been a past life gift of mine to channel these new frequencies that can support people to attune to a more empowered way of being. I put together a 3-part video course. It's so brief. It's 15-20 minutes each session, but it really supports you. The first one is come to your energetic sovereignty, untangle any energetic imprints, even the ones that you took on from social media. We can take on those. The second one is financial sovereignty. If you have been impacted by vibration of scarcity and fears, you can reclaim your, what I call spiritual rainmaker, your ability to command resources for your spiritual mission. And then the last one is all about shifting the energetics of codependency into empowered relating. 3-part series, you receive it, you keep it for life, go at your pace. And this is why you can start fine-tuning your vibration so you become more available antenna for your higher self and the higher guides.
Amazing. Thank you for this wonderful offering that you're sharing with all of us here at the Sacred Planet podcast and our community. And so everyone watching, you can find that if you just look right below this video in the description field and or the show notes, depending on where you're watching. Wow, Katerina, thank you so much for all you've shared today. It is just always a delight to speak with you, and certainly even more of that today. So thank you for all that you've shared with us.
It was so easy. It went by like a minute. We were in such a divine flow. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share Atlantean teachings and everything that came through. I deeply appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful episode of the Sacred Planet podcast. Be sure to click like and subscribe to our channel so that you will receive future updates. You'll know when we go live and when we are publishing the new episodes. And also be sure to put a note in the comments. What did this episode mean to you? What did this speaker and this topic inspire and awaken in you? And how do you want to share that with the world in new ways going forward? I would love to hear in the comments. And while you're here, go ahead and click on another podcast episode and open your mind, open your heart to more beautiful wisdom from the podcast. Much love, everybody.